another episode of Hanging with Miss Cooper. What's good, everybody? So, I have a controversial subject for y'all today. We are going to talk about child support. So, let's get right into it. Now, for a lot of my shows, I get my content inspiration based off of stuff that I see trending on social media or being talked about on social media. So, on my personal Facebook page, I've asked, a lot of questions, trying to get feedback from both men and women. And I asked for honest opinions about child support. Now, when it comes to this subject, this actually gets pretty heated between the parents that have to pay child support and the parents that receive child support. Everyone has a reason why they are right or why they are wrong. And it gets really messy. It's emotional. It's dramatic for no good reason. Why? Why is something like child support so controversial and dramatic? It shouldn't be. It really shouldn't. I'm a parent who receives child support. Now, you've heard me talk about on prior shows, about my ex and everything. And we go through our drama. Child support has not really been an issue with us. Despite our dramas, that's one that we've pretty much had little to no fighting over. Now, I'm serious about that. My ex and I, we have gone to court to have child support established. And in our case, it was necessary because we had a lot of issues going on between us. And to top it off, we had 2 kids to raise. He's military, so 90% of the time he's gone doing business trips or something. And he also lives in another state, so he doesn't see the kids very often either. He also makes so much more money than I do. So all these factors mean that not only does he have to provide a certain amount of child support, he pays more than most fathers do. Now, without telling the exact amount, he pays enough to where I don't have to work if I don't want to. Yeah, you heard me correctly. Now, I know that last statement that I just made is where controversy starts. I already know. Most men will say that I should be out working and I shouldn't live off of the child support. I would probably be even called a gold digger or worse. Now, I'm kind of torn on that part. I really am. I say that because since both kids have been born, it has been a huge struggle. I'm not throwing excuses, but reasons. Keyword is reasons here, okay? I've had to work whatever jobs that I could for low wages. I have been limited on the jobs that I could take due to childcare issues. Now, this is when my kids were younger. My kids are teenagers now, so I don't have the childcare issue anymore. I've also had to work to try to raise both kids alone, and this was during my single mom days because I'm no longer a single mom. And on top of that, try to go to school and try to get better jobs or wages. And this was before I stopped working a regular 9-to-5 and started my own business. Now, because my salary was so low, after I paid what I could for bills and for the kids, I literally had nothing left. And I do mean nothing. As in, I had maybe 50 cents to my name. I'd be lucky if I had $5 to my name at times. So, child support was something that was needed just so I could make rent and pay food bills and anything that came up with the kids, that was outside of child support. So, I bet you're thinking, okay, I could have applied for state assistance, and if I was having such a hard time. I did. And you know what? I got denied. Reason being, the state where I live would count my child support income along with my own income, and it would put me over the threshold for most assistance. Now I'm talking about food stamps or housing assistance. I had to actually make a choice between getting food stamps or daycare assistance. I couldn't afford to pay for daycare out of my own pocket, so I had to choose that and then just budget very carefully for food. And I'm talking about buying my groceries, sometimes out of Dollar Tree, because I couldn't afford to pay for certain items out of the regular grocery store. Like, this is how bad it was. I had to find a house for rent that was under a certain amount. At one time, I was living with my parents because I just could not afford rent because I didn't have enough money to afford it. This is where child support was needed. After my ex and I broke up, let me start over. When I moved back from the East Coast to the Midwest, I was pregnant with my daughter. My son was 2 years old. I had to move back in with my folks, which I did not want to do. I was 23 years old. So as soon as I got off the plane, I rested for a day. I went and I filed child support on my ex. I started applying for jobs. Within 2 months, I had a court date for child support. I had a job. I had my own place again. My daughter was born prematurely. So any money that I could have saved from my new job to carry me over to maternity leave didn't happen. So not only did I have a new place, but I could barely afford to pay rent, my ex wasn't helping at that time. Me and him were going through it, and it was a lot of drama and stuff going on. And he was also about to be deployed. So I lost my apartment when my daughter was 4 months old. I had to move back in with my parents. I stayed at my parents' house for 3 years before I got back on my feet financially, because I decided to take that time to get myself right, pay off some bills, and go back to school. So during that time, I got child support established, but it was shaky because my ex, he got in and out of military service to go from one branch to the other, and then he stopped working so he could go to school. So that was part of my struggle. I didn't have the money to pay for certain things. I had to rely heavily on my folks to pick up the slack. Their grandmother, who lived on the East Coast, she would send money to help out. It's a lot. Child care, taking care of kids, it's a lot, and it truly does. As the saying goes, it takes a village. It really did. Things are a lot better now, I will say that. In my current situation, my ex now pays a decent amount of child support. He also pays for things outside of child support, So if I needed something and I couldn't afford it, he would cover it. And I'm not talking about, oh, if I need to go get my hair and nails done. If it was something that I needed that was for the kids, he didn't give me attitude about it. He would be like, okay. He would send me the money for it, and that would be it. And part of that is because from day one, I have established with him that I don't go out and spend money on things that are not benefiting the kids. He knows I'm not out here spending child support on fancy trips or anything. He knows that. That's one thing that he's always known about me. I don't play when it comes to our kids. I've used the money to pay rent, pay bills, get whatever the kids need. I've also used the money for things that are needed around the house. For example, I used child support money to go buy a lawnmower so I could mow my grass in both the front and the backyards. My ex even at times encouraged me to go and use the child support money for things for myself. True story. Have I always done that? No. Absolutely not. Because I take it very seriously. Now, I don't agree with some of the links that the states will do to collect child support from the fathers who are truly trying and are in their kids' lives. Now, I say that because I got a front row seat as to what happened to my ex when he decided to stop working to go to school. He got sent notices that they were suspending his license. They were going to suspend his passport for travel. They were threatening to arrest him. Like, it was pretty bad. In my opinion, if the parents get along and they are able to come to an agreement on child support, the court shouldn't be involved. And I know that that's not the case. I know that. I know not every situation can be resolved that way, which is why we have a system. I get it. But here's what I don't like. When a parent has to apply for state assistance, most states now require that they file child support on the other parent before they will even qualify for the assistance like daycare or food stamps. I don't think that's right. Food and daycare costs are high enough. If single parents could afford it at cost, they wouldn't be applying for the assistance. If the other parent is already contributing, why should the state have to monitor that? Yeah, I feel very passionate about that. I had applied, like I mentioned earlier, for daycare assistance, and I still had a copay. I had like a copay I could not afford because they had combined my daycare assistance. Not my daycare assistance. They had combined my child support I received from him with my income, and I couldn't afford it. I believe like my copay at the time was like $250, I think. He could afford it. So we made an agreement, and we even put it in the child support agreement that he would pay the copay. And he did so outside of child support, because sometimes the child support wouldn't arrive at the beginning of the month because of holidays or whatever. And so copay for daycare is due on the 1st. They don't play about that. Because he's military, he gets paid on the 1st. He would be able to, take advantage of that. So he actually would pay that. And he had no problem doing that. So that makes me mad when the state goes after parents who are actually doing what they're supposed to. Go after the deadbeats that don't even contribute and have not been around. That's what the system is for. That's where the system is flawed. The good ones are paying the penalty for the bad ones. Yeah, sometimes you just have to take a breath. Sometimes you have to. So, I am now married. Child support is still being paid by my ex, even though I now have another income in the house. My husband is not adopting the kids because their father is active and still has his rights, even though he doesn't live in state. The amount of his child support isn't going to be affected because I'm now married. The kids will still live with me the same amount of time because of their father's work schedule. He is still going to be providing just like he has before. Nothing about that situation has changed. I know a lot of folks probably have issue with that too. And I've named a lot of different issues as to why child support is controversial. Now, here's my response to those who have issues with paying child support. Get over it. Those are your offspring. Do your job and provide. Just because you aren't with the other parent anymore doesn't mean that your contribution to how your child is raised and cared changes. Stop worrying about how the money is being spent. Unless your child isn't getting the proper treatment, such as adequate food, clothing, and shelter, stop worrying about where the money is going. Stop complaining about the amount that's being taken out of your check. If you're behind, go get another job and get caught up. If you're not behind and you're just complaining in general, have several seats and be quiet. Yeah, you do. You need to be quiet. Our Heavenly Father provides for us every day. He gives us whatever is needed for us. No amount of money can comprehend the things that He provides us every day, and without question or us asking. That's how much He loves us. He gave His only begotten Son for us because He loved us. That was His sacrifice. That was His support to us. Every day He wakes us up. He makes sure that our bodies are functioning. He makes sure that we get food, clothing, and things for shelter. He doesn't have a court order telling him that he has to do it either. There is no child support order for what he does for us. A real parent does the job no matter what the cost, no matter what the obstacles. Stop making excuses. Oh, well, the other parent makes it hard for me. Oh, the other parent does this. He does that. She does that. Stop. You're making excuses so that you don't have to do the work. Stop. I see this in everyday life as far as social media and stuff, and I get it. I totally get it. It sucks. There are parents out there who, as soon as the relationship breaks up, they break up with the kid too. I totally get it. But it's not an excuse. You are still the parent at the end of the day, no matter what you're going through with that child's mother or father or vice versa. That is still your flesh and blood. Do what you need to do to make sure that your child is taken care of. That's the long and the short of it. You weren't expecting that. Okay. That was a pretty controversial episode, I must say. let me do my usual shout outs. If you like my content, then help a sister out and donate to my show. Hit the donate button. I am on Patreon. Patreon.com/hangingwithmisscooper. If you like this post and others, check out my website, hangingwithmisscooper.com. Now, my podcast is on Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Spreaker, Spotify, Amazon, and YouTube. Hanging with Miss Cooper. I drop new episodes every week. Y'all, go check out my radio station. My radio station is Mocha Inspirations Radio. You can listen to it on my website, inspiringconnectionsmedia.com, or if you don't feel like going to a website, download the Live 365 app on your phone and look for Mocha Inspirations. And as always, you got something to say to me? You want to talk about it on my show? Email me, message me on social media. If you want to be a guest on my show, hit me up and let's do this. All right, y'all, I'm out of here. You all have a great day.